All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And, I put this as a real quick because, I just wanted to get into a quick lesson that I was meditating upon. Actually, it just came to me as I was looking for a topic. And, like sometimes we'll do when we are doing a lesson, if we're not able to pull out the scriptures right away, we might just speak it or quote it, and so on and so forth. But you'll know what we're talking about, right? So anyway, the most important men, right? So the most important men, as I'm sure you've heard before, mentioned by either Apostle Tahar or the other apostles or brothers, or are the prophets. Okay, and I'm talking about men here on the earth in terms of the different offices or purposes as to why we've been put here on the earth. You have some men or some individuals that are so-called gladiators, right? Today you have boxers, MMA fighters, right? You have artists, musicians, and all of these things. And you wonder why some of these individuals are extremely good at those things that they do, whether it's music or whether it's fighting or whether it's art, like drawing, or painting or whatever the case is. You have certain individuals that stand out for these certain, some would call talents, right? And a talent is a very interesting subject, or a very interesting thing to look at. A talent in terms of somebody's ability or gift to do something, because when you look at it, they'll say like a talent is like something that just comes to you naturally, right? If you can sing, you can sing. You just can't. And in most cases, a lot of these great musicians, they were likely musicians in the past life, because the scriptures say that the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, but you also have certain individuals who may not be prophets, but they come back with the same kind of spirit. Okay, I'm trying to think of a good example, and the only thing that's coming to mind now is like when you play a video game, for example, and in the video game they have a character, they allow character creation, right? Maybe like GTA, there's a thing like GTA Online, they allow character creation, right? And pretty much in this character creation, you could create different characters, right? You create numerous characters and play the story using them. Now, you may create 10 different characters, you may create 1, 2, 3, 4, but your play style is gonna remain the same, because the one controlling the character is you. So if there's a certain kind of car that you like to drive, it doesn't matter what character you're using, or if it's the 5th character you made or the 6th character you made, you gon' get that same kind of car, because that's your play style. That's what you like. Okay, there's certain missions that you like to do. It doesn't matter what character you created, you're gonna do those same missions. So that's like and I use that example to liken the different characters to the different bodies that our spirits come in, and the spirit is likened unto you, controlling the character. So regardless of what body you come in, you're gonna do things that resemble what you did in the past life, because it's the same spirit. So if in your spirit you're the type who you sing, it doesn't matter what body you come in, eventually you're gonna end up doing that same thing, because that's just what that's how your spirit is tailored. So in that sense, applying it to the prophets are always gonna come back in their lot, one way or another, some way, somehow. They're gonna have that close connection with the Most High. you know, or at least they're not gonna fit in the ordinary, right? And maybe let me expand this to the elect, because you know it's not only the prophets that wouldn't fit in this society, but the elect in general. Okay, so those spirits come back doing the same thing. So now that I've explained that, going back to the most important men. Now, you think about it, when you read the scriptures, if not all, you know, majority of the books in the Bible hold the names of prophets. Okay, for the most part. You know, Joshua, First and Second Samuel. Then you got the you know, Daniel. You have Ezekiel, the book of Jeremiah, the book of Isaiah, the book of Habakkuk, the book of Obadiah. These are all names of prophets, right? The book of Matthew, the book of Mark, the book of Luke, the book of John. These are all names of prophets. And in those books contain accounts of either the things that those prophets did, for the most part, you know, or messages that the Lord gave those prophets. But the bulk of the scriptures, about 1st and 2nd Esdras, the book of Nehemiah, once again, all prophets, because the Most High deals with the prophets, okay? Anybody that, when the Most High wants to communicate with the world, he uses his prophets. When he wants to relay a message, he uses his prophets. Okay, so the Most High deals with prophets. So that's why the prophets are the most important, you know, figures in you know, out here, the most important men. You know, ultimately because the Most High set up the prophets to be the mouthpiece. So if he wants to communicate with, you know, anybody, even you have priests, you have kings, all of them would go ultimately to the prophets. And that's why when you look at the way the Lord has set it up, the 144,000 are really, you know, the prophets, the teachers, you know, those the Lord has put at the forefront. And then you have the rest of the elect, which consists of the innumerable multitude. But that's why the scriptures also tell you to covet to prophesy. Now, there's a place for everybody. You know, it doesn't mean that because you're not a prophet, you know, you're not significant. That doesn't mean that at all. And a prophet, you can be a prophet, but you may not be a major speaker, you know, but you're still a prophet. Okay, not every prophet was like Isaiah. Not every prophet was like Paul, or, you know, or John or Peter or Jeremiah, you know. Some prophets are in the scriptures, but they weren't mentioned by name. When you read in the, I believe it's the book of First Kings, dealing with Elijah, when he came back after he had caused the drought, and Ahab and Jezebel saw his life. Now, when he returned, he met one of the servants, I believe, of Ahab, whose name was Obadiah. And Obadiah, he told him, he said, "Go and tell Ahab that I'm here." And he said, "Oh Lord, you know, like no, please don't make me do that, because I know what happens. You know, you're gonna send me. I'm gonna go tell him, because he really is looking for you. So I'm gonna tell him that you're here, and he's gonna come and expect to see you, and I'm gonna come and you're not gonna be here. And then that's gonna be my head. He's gonna kill me." And he said, no, I'm gonna be right here. He said, look, I've done good things. And then the key part is, he said that he hid, I believe, 100 prophets, if I got the count right, in the cave, and fed them with bread and water when Jezebel sought to slay all the prophets. So now it doesn't mention those 100 prophets by name, but they're there, right? So just because, you know, you may not be a major speaker,
speed camera reported ahead,
you know, or something like that, doesn't mean that you're not a prophet. Okay, the spirit that's within you is what deems whether you're a prophet or not. And there's different prophets on different levels. That's why the Lord gave the parable of the different talents that he gave the different servants. Okay, but at the end of the day, the key thing is prophecy. And if not for the prophets, you got to ask yourself, of course, the Most High set it all up, but if not for the prophets, how would you know the name of the Lord? What's that? Romans 13:10, I believe. That how shall they, I'm going to try to quote as best as I can. It says, how shall they call on whom they have not known, right? Or believe on, you know, some to that extent. And then how shall they know without a preacher, right? And how shall they preach except they be sent? So who were the ones sent? 1 Corinthians 4:9, the Most High set forth us, the apostles, last. And what he set us to do, to come and to teach the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So that's why the prophets are so important, okay? Because it starts and ends with them. See, the Most High sends out the prophets when he's about to do some damage, you know, or when he wants to warn, or he wants to, and in the ancient world, they were called seers. And so all throughout history, they've been, the prophets have always been the most important men. It's just in a lot of their societies that they were in, they weren't reverenced on the level that they of importance that they are actually worth, because a lot of people didn't like a lot of the prophets, because and that ultimately shows you that they didn't like Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because the prophets would be like a physical representation of what the Lord what the Lord's message was. And so if they're constantly killing the prophets and trying to stone the prophets, what does that tell you about the how they feel about the message, right? Shalom, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham. This is Yahweh's warrior, Shalom. Romans 10 and 13. The water, I said 13 and 10. The water. It says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And this is dealing with Israelites, right? Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And the preacher is a prophet. See, so if not for the Lord sending out the prophets, how would we have found our way back, you know, to the truth? Found our way back home, in essence. Okay, and that's why in Revelation chapter 11, verse 18, it talks about and jumps up, you know, does. But nevertheless, damn, I even lost my train of thought. So going back to it, at the end of the day, the prophets the Most High set up, because, and the reason they're important is because of the job that they're required to do. Okay, they're like the Most High's main man. So that's why in the scriptures it tells you to covet to prophesy. Okay, Shalom. You know, it tells you to covet to prophesy, because when we get to the kingdom, like I was saying earlier, the scriptures say that a prophet is not without honor, but in his own city. Paraphrasing, because they know you, right? And a lot of us, we weren't born, you know, into this. We were born into the regular world. We lived, you know, as regular individuals, whatever we were known as. And then when the Lord woke us up to this truth, we rose up to our stead or our lot as prophets. So a lot of the people that you grew up with that know you, they don't know you as a prophet. They know you as whoever they grew up with, right? And a lot of them are not spiritual enough to see that the spirit within us has been awakened. So they look at us as the same old individuals. That's why they don't honor us as prophets. Then ultimately, that's because they don't honor the one that sent us. They don't honor Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You see, and that's ultimately going to come back against them. So in the kingdom, when the Lord magnifies and really shows and reveals the positions, then people are going to, the ranks and all of that, they're going to see, oh, see, because you got certain men that make excuses. They'll say, no, I'm not a prophet. You know, it's not my lot. Not that it's not your lot, you just don't want to do it. You know, you don't want to bear the burden and the work that comes with being a prophet. So they'll say, oh, it's not for me, I'm not a prophet. Like it's a good thing. Man, if the spirit of prophecy left you, you should be afraid. You should be begging, crying to the Lord and begging him not to take away that spirit of prophecy from you. The spirit of prophecy is one of the most valuable spirits out here. To have the spirit of prophecy, to be able to know, understand, break down, and go into these prophecies, that's not something that you should be happy to say, oh, I don't have that spirit. You know, nah, that's not something you should be even wanting to utter out of your mouth at all, because that's a heavy spirit. Okay, that's a heavy spirit. So, you know, like I said, you know, you got certain people that may try to, you know, use the excuse of, oh, I'm not a prophet, or, you know, that's not my lot. In the kingdom, you're gonna wish that was your lot. You know, And if in turn it turns out that you were, you had the opportunity but you didn't take it, guess what? That regret is going to be for you. All right, but over here we love to prophesy. The scriptures say covet to prophesy. Well, we love to prophesy. We're glad the Lord gave us that spirit, and we're not trying to let it go anytime soon. That's right. This is GMS Pray Always Hopeful Elect. Mark 6:4. But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. Why is that? Because people that know us, that when their first encounter, when they meet us, is as prophets, that's their first impression or encounter of us. But those that knew us before that, or that were so-called familiar with us, they'll always look at you as, for the most part, their son or their friend or their homie or their homeboy or their brother, whatever the case is, if they're not spiritual. Look at Mary and Yahushua. Not that she disrespected him. I'm talking about the mother of Yahushua. But even knowing he had spiritual power, knowing what his lot was to be, she wasn't looking at him, first as that. She was looking at him first as her son. I don't give a damn what you think your job is. I'm your mother. Like, she's looking at him first as her son before anything else. And just like mothers do. She came to, the wine is finished and all that. But what that got to do with me? It's not my time yet. But like I said, like mothers do. Salakia. Like mothers do. So her first look at him is, that's my son first. So ultimately, that's why the scriptures say a prophet is not without honor, because even when Yahushua went to his so-called hometown, he said, the scriptures say that he didn't perform many miracles there because they were like, isn't this the son of the carpenter? Isn't this Joseph's son? What the hell is he coming out here talking about some Messiah talk, prophet, this and that? So I mean, at the end of the day, the world is going to see, as the scriptures say that then shall they be known who am I chosen. This is Fear Yahweh 144, 1 Corinthians 9:16. It says, for though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe unto me if I preach not the gospel. And so if you have the spirit of prophecy and you don't use it, you are likened unto the napkin nigger, which is the man who took the talent and hid it in a napkin and made excuses at the return of his Lord. And the Most High, he's coming to collect. Yahushua is coming to collect. So if he has given you the capability, you got a mouth to speak, right? How hard is it really to prophesy? But I mean, at the end of the day, it takes a spirit. But if you got the mouth to speak, you got the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and a mind to understand and perceive, and the Lord gives you the spirit of prophecy, and you say, no, I don't want it, I ain't gonna do it. Woe unto me if I preach not the gospel. All right, don't look at it as a burden. It's a part. It got to be a part of you, really. It got to be a part of you. So though it may not look it, it just looks like we just go out there and we talk, or we just turn on the camera and we just start speaking and that's it. There's a higher level of importance behind what we're doing, more so than we even realize. Because to us, it's like second nature. It's a part of us. We do it. But in terms of breaking down the mechanics of what we're actually doing in the spirit, is much more, it's much greater than we even perceive it. Okay, but I'm gonna end it here. Just a real brief lesson, something that I was meditating upon. If the spirit permits, I'll come back with another lesson. But for now, the water for tuning in, and Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. The scriptures say covet to prophesy. So especially if you're a man and you got, you're able, covet to prophesy. Okay, so with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Brachak Wadash, and until next time, Shalom.